Hi everyone, this is Priyadarshini Mishra. In today's session of Tech Insiders, we will be covering a very interesting topic of generative art, also called as AI art. However, before we deep dive into that, let's take a look at two videos from Globant that showcases what we do and how we do. Here it goes.
Now that I've lost everything to you, you say you want to start something new, and it's breaking my heart you're leaving. Baby, I'm leaving, but if you want to leave, then take good care. Hope you make a lot of nice friends out there, but just remember that a lot of bad everywhere. You know I've seen what the world can do, and it's breaking my heart in two. 'Cause I never want to see you a sad girl. Don't be a bad girl.
Reinvention moves the world forward, and that's what we do best.
Oh, baby, it's a wild world.
We are Globant, the company you probably don't know, behind many of the digital transformations you do know.
Oh, baby, it's a wild world.
Globant. Seek reinvention.
Across the world, companies have been challenged to remain in constant evolution, transform their culture and business models, rethink their customer experiences, and take advantage of new technologies such as artificial intelligence. Companies face the challenge to become augmented organizations. At Globant, we help pave the way towards this future. We work together with businesses around the world to define their way ahead and augment their capabilities to create new approaches for processes, products, and strategies. We create agile and resistant cultures where teams not only create change, but also adapt rapidly, creating exceptional experiences for millions of people. We walk along this road relying on our set of disruptors and accelerators, driven by artificial intelligence. All of this boosted by our system of studios and agile pods, operating units that foster creativity and innovation. We are a native digital company focused on helping organizations rethink themselves and find their way forward through digital and cognitive transformation. The future is now, and it belongs to augmented organizations.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for watching that. Little bit about myself. I'm a technical architect and leader at Globant. I have been solution designing for over 10 years, working alongside enterprise team and product team, building transformative solutions. My area of expertise lies in Java, Golang, and Python. Frankly, when it comes to technology, I like to break things down into smaller pieces so that it's easy for my team and for my client to understand. Growing up, I was always fascinated by art and paint, though being a developer today, it was not easy to blend these two things and it does not go hand in hand. Presenting the rise of AI art today is that example of resonance. I believe there are a lot of members in the audience today who also feel similar way and want to transform their creativity into an art form. Let's synthesize this process together. I would also encourage the members to drop in all your comments in the comment section below, and I will take a look at it towards the end of this video. With that, let's keep rolling. So today I will be covering the origin of AI art by giving you a background of what it is and covering the future of tech and how it evolved for over 2 years. We will be giving like an insight on topics of AI art, which are important when you talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence. We will do a quick round of doing our own painting by using the generator and prompter. What it is, I will talk about it later. Towards the end of this presentation, I will give you the benefits of AI art and also the ethical implication. Since this art is in a nascent stage as of now, so there are a lot of things that we are still learning and we have not reached that stable state as of yet. So let's keep rolling. So what is AI art? Before getting into what AI art is, let's understand the concept of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence was coined by John McCarthy in 1955. He coined the word and then he gave a description of what it can do to the humankind. In short terms, or in a simpler term, if you have to understand artificial intelligence, it is something that a human can do, and we want the machine to do it more proactively at scale and with a better quality. So that's what AI, artificial intelligence, gives us. Now, using this concept and creating art is what we are actually trying to do. It took us almost 2 3 decades to reach a point wherein we are now creating our own models to generate these kind of art, which is transformative, really, if I have to say, for the designers and the artists all around the world. Um, I will give you an example of how this collaboration works. You all know about metaverse, and we all know that soon, in 5 to 10 years, we will be roaming around having our own avatars. Example, imagine yourself doing that, and you'll be able to create your own avatars for you. Isn't that imaginative? Isn't that attractive and captivating? There are other application of AI art wherein you can use EB synth. That's another technology that you can club in order to create videos from the series of the images that got generated. It's really helpful in the field of gaming as well. So there was an artist who was designing games, and it was able to do that at a scale of creating 40 TB of images over a period of just 2 to 3 days, and all that was possible because of these generators that work at speed of a machine. um, I can go on and on, but let's take an example. So I have a little show and tell that give you an understanding of how that works. These are from the field of social media, people doing generative work themselves. So in our first video, we will see how an artist was able to create a simple sketch, and then it got converted into an art. So in this example, if you see, the artist was able to create the art only based on the drawing that he created. Now we will see another example, and this is actually very close to my heart as well, and very beneficial for people who are differently abled and they are creative in their head. However, it's just very difficult to synthesize your thoughts when it comes to art, because it's always related to using pen, pencil, or sketches for that matter. So take a look at this presenter and you'll see what I'm talking about. So the presenter is using hand gestures, if you notice here. Voila, this looks like a very good art, but it looks very sketchy, and it's not very realistic. So now if you see the actual output, which is very different from what the input was. Isn't it powerful the way AI art works and how it is transforming our lives? Let's move on. It will be injustice if I talk about art and not talk about how it is going to help real artists. So we all have heard about collaboration. AI art or generative art has given that platform wherein the real artists are able to amalgamate their art with the existing art. Like you think about this topic of doing two arts merging into one was nearly impossible if you talk about 10 decades ago. So that is one area which is very useful. Second is I talked about scaling. So you can create millions of images only by giving like few inputs, and then it's very useful when you do it in the field of advertising and gaming. Um, now I'll talk about another benefit for real artists. Imagine yourself, you are in an art gallery and you are an artist. Now there are other people around as well, and they are there to give feedback. A lot of times people are polite and they don't give you the real feedback. Artificial intelligence senses the it does a sensitivity analysis on your image and extract the feedback from it. This feedback is actually unbiased in nature, and the artist can enhance his art or her art in a more productive way. So it is booming right now, and real artists are actually utilizing it. I will show you one example on how this was done in an art gallery which was presented in Berlin. It has a lot of market potential, and um, it's better if I show it instead of talking. So in this, the artist created a series of images and converted into a video. This was created using IVA. So that's another field of engineering which is booming right now. It not only creates video, you can also create real poems and verses, and you can do anything you like to do if you want to enhance it to a larger scale. Now we will talk about how it started and where we are today. So in June 2020, OpenAI created a model GPT-3, which created images from only giving few inputs to your prompter. These inputs were in the form of a text. It evolved, and in June around 2021, OpenAI created another model which is called Delhi. Delhi too created another generator, so that's called Delhi 2, which is there in the market right now. Google also came up with their own version, which is called Imagine. However, it was only available for limited use. So one can only argue how those capabilities are when you compare it with other models which are there in the market. There is Delhi Mini by Crayon, and there was a very I would say a stepping stone into another world wherein Midjourney came in this year, July 2022. And Midjourney creates very artistic style images. And 1 month ago, we have stable diffusion. So the main difference between all these or everything else and stable diffusion is it's open source and the code is there. You can create your own model, synthesize it, and make variation to it, because it's really like you can use any language. I will be giving an example of how you can do it using Python. So I have a little comparison for you all to understand what I want to say. And please feel free to drop in your queries, which one you want me to cover in next session. So we'll go with Delhi E, which uses clip and unclipping mechanism to generate the art. It also comes with an ethical restrictions, and so is Midjourney. Midjourney uses Discord bot, meaning you'll have to create your account on a Discord bot, and then it will send a request to the server to fetch the images from that. And you can have variation within. So I'll give you an example later on. Today we will be covering most of the stable diffusion, which is the latest technology today. So stable diffusion also works on the similar model. You have text to image conversion. This one in particular is unrestricted, meaning you can create nude images, and you can also create images of politicians, military people, and also Hollywood artists, which was not possible in Midjourney and Delhi. Now we can only talk about, and this can be a fruitful conversation to have, like what is better? Do you want to give full freedom to the artist, or you want to restrict it? So since the technology itself is evolving, and it's just like over a period of 2 years, we are still to understand what that version is, wherein the technology blends in with the creativity. um, Main feature of Delhi is it creates very realistic image. So we saw an other example wherein the image was not realistic and you had to do an iteration to get it out. Same is with Mid Journey. Mid Journey creates very artistic style images. So you will not see a realistic image, but it will look very futuristic in nature. Stable diffusion gives you both, so that's the benefit. And right now it's booming. We'll see a few examples of how to use these generators. So first of all, I'll talk about what natural language is. Natural language is the core of your image creation. These languages are nothing but our everyday conversational things, though it differs in how you write it. And even by changing a minor comma or a pipeline separator, that gives you a different output, which is very interesting to see if you have to ask me. There are two variations to it. You can do text prompting, you can also do an image prompting. What that is, in image prompting, you can post an image and that will give you a different variation of your original image. What it is essentially doing is it's giving that input to your generator, which has millions of records in the form of models that you have given in the background, and synthesizing all of those to create an output. Now you can pick and choose, put more variations to it, and there you go. You have your image in a different style. Now you can use an artistic style or you can use a realistic style. It's up to you. It's very interesting to know how to write this. There are multiple sessions going on, and it is right now booming in the sense that people are generating skills and honing this so that they can write a better text. And there are engineering skill set which are right now clubbing with the technology itself. We'll take a look at the example to see how that output looks like. So if you see in this example, I've taken example from Stable Diffusion Web UI, wherein it says a bus city street in a modern city with illustrative lighting, with cinematic lighting. And in the example, if you see, we have only used comma and pipeline separator to get a different feed from the generator. So if you see, the first image looks very realistic. This image has no lighting effect as such. Second and third image has little bit of variations to it, and it's very evident if you look at it closely. The last image, however, is a different version of it. Now it really depends on what kind of output you're looking at, and you can just like plug in things and get the result however you like. There are few concepts on creating the image. So having the knowledge of writing the prompter is not alone important. You need to also understand what these terminologies are. So for example, outpainting. Outpainting is giving the dimension to the original painting and extending it to a bigger horizon so that the image looks more complete. I'll give you an example of how that looks like so that you get a visuals of it. In painting, a really interesting concept given by Stable Diffusion. I believe it's also there in other models, but the result from Stable Diffusion are insane. Actually, I'm excited to give that demo first before we move on and understand how recycling works. So let's see the outpainting example. So if you see, this is the final result of the image, and every detail and the intricacies of the subject and the object which is there in the background of the lady which is standing in the front, it's very detailed. Now, you cannot get this kind of output when you have just given one prompt, or you need to club it together. So we'll see a time lapse of how the artist has done it. So just piecing together different images and clubbing it into one. It's fascinating to see how art has evolved in a sense that anyone can be creative. I will give you another example from the previous link, which is given by the conversation, wherein we'll take an example of a social media expert.
AI fashion tutorial. Here's how I used AI to make this video. Step 1, I used DALL-E to generate the outfits. I did this by erasing parts of my clothes and asking for new ones. You can see it did a really good job of matching color and lighting. I ran through tons of prompts for this and got lots of cute options. And I got some less cute options too, but I skipped over those. Oh, and you may have noticed I covered my face. I did this because DALL-E doesn't allow faces for safety reasons. Step 2, go frame by frame and generate the outfits one at a time. But this is where I ran into a problem. See, DALL-E is designed for pictures, not for video. So how could I get it to work for video? This feature doesn't exist yet, so I was stuck. But then, I discovered an AI program called EV Synth. It lets you apply a painting style to your video. So I wondered, could it be used to paint on clothes? Step 3, try using EV Synth on my video. Please work, please work, please work, please work. And it worked, yes, look at that. I mean, it's not perfect, and yeah, sure, there's some artifacts, but it's totally good enough for me. Remember, this is what my video looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. Oh yeah. Final step, apply a finishing touch with Dane. This is an AI I'll use to smoothly transition between my outfits. And here is the finished result.
So we're just beginning to understand how these concepts are going to make difference in our everyday life. So the last topic in our slide today, this one is resizing. So this one is very common to how we do resizing, wherein you can crop the image. You can use the concept of outpaint and in painting to fill in the details and make it more holistic, if I have to say it that way. Let's take an example of how outpainting is done without the creation of the video part. So in this, if you see, there's a spider, and this spider looks like an artistic representation of spider, but it's just the spider. In one iteration of outpainting, there are clouds in the background, which is giving more vibrant look to the entire maze, and that's extended the horizons to include more and more details. And the final version, if you see in this one, the picture looks more holistic and looks like you're taking an angle of a photo wherein you're keeping the insect as in the focus, and then there is background to it. It's interesting to see you can keep on doing this in multiple iteration. Let's see an example of in painting. So this one in particular, we saw an example in the video. In this one, what we are doing is there's a dog sitting on a bench and we want to remove it. Now, this has happened to all of us when we go to a tourist spot and we don't want certain people to be in there. It is possible through different tools, though this one in particular gives you another feature, as in like there are distorted images from different era and you want to restructure or create a different art of it, or some part of it is missing. You can append something new which is similar to that and make your picture look more whole. So in this example, we are removing it. In another example, if you see, all that you need to do is sketch the area with white, and then you can append in case you want to, and then you can give instruction. In second image and the third image is just a variation of the tree itself. You can make it more realistic or more artistic in the sense. So that what it does to your output, you can keep on doing it until you get what you were looking for, and that's how this generation works. In another example, so this one is self-explanatory. You can resize it with the actual image, or what you can do is you can crop it and focus on the area that you want to focus on, and then refill it with more details. And then like you can pick and choose which one you feel is more close to what you thought about, and that's how basically it goes. So all these images are not cherry picked. I wanted to explain you the examples so that you understand the concept behind these terminologies. We have a very interesting topic subject which is attention and CFG and variation. So what is attention really? So when you are giving the attention or the cognitive attention to the specific part of your image, that's when it is called attention. So in this part, you want your image to have more HD dimensions, And that's how you want your prompt to look like. You're not changing anything in the prompter, it's just by mere changes here and there. I'll show you in an example how you can do that. CFG is another thing. Why CFG is important? When we are talking about grammar, what I'm talking are words and sentences. These sentences form a context. So either you're talking about present, future, or tomorrow. All these things have a context. The definition of anything is relatable. But AI art says that we only want context free grammar. So you can give sentences which may not be meaningful if you look at it from the English point of view, but it will be meaningful to the generator. And that's what really CFG means. While generating the art, when you give the scale of CFG to more close to 20 or 15, it will focus on the keywords that you have given in the prompter and make it more and more close to what you have given as an input. And we'll see in the example, and that will actually give you what I'm talking about. Variation is just like you can get the variation of a similar prompter and get different output from it, but it will be the same visualization of the keywords. In this one, in the first image, what we have done is we have used bacon and given brackets, curly brackets, simple bracket, or block brackets to emphasize on a specific thing in your image. So first one is bacon. Now compare it with the last one wherein you have eggs, and the focus is given more and more on the eggs, and that is how the detailing of this image has come out to be. The prompt or the natural language, if you see, remains same. Only by making these changes, the output looks very different. This is an example of CFG wherein the first image shows you like first time, the first iteration of your generator, how it gave you result. And take a look at the last one. It is so similar. And also like the last one, if you see for that image, it has come out to be something different altogether. So this is also sort of a limitation of these AI tools, which keep on generating, and they synthesize like millions of images to create one. So they take references. In our third example, the prompter remains same. By only changing the seed and variation strength, you get different outputs. So first is very futuristic robot trying to eat pizza, burger, I think. And then it's very different in the last one. All these is like you can pick the one that you relate with most, or it is in resonance with the idea that you are creating. So if it is your gaming, you can pick it likewise, or if you're creating a comic book, it depends what you're planning to do. Let's take an example where I will show how we can do it using Lessica Art Dream Studio, and I have a sample prompter with me that I will be using here to see the output. Okay, so if you see, this is the shot of a weasel doctor. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the scale to 20, and I'll hit this to see the variation of the image by changing the CFG scale alone. Okay, I think this one didn't work. We'll try here. Okay, so you see this one is very different from what we got as an original result. Now, if you see, there are variation in the width that you can give 512 or 1024. There are also pixel, like all these are, you can choose things, you can give however you want to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the number of steps from 50 to 100, just as an experiment so that you can understand how different images are coming out to be with the same prompter. Okay, I think I was happy with the previous one. But this will do. So you get the idea what we are trying to do here. You are changing these steps, and it's basically a trial and error process wherein you have to identify that balance, and which is, very close to your imagination. In this one is using stable diffusion 1.5. There are samplers as well. You can pick the sampler that you want. 1.5 is the stable version as of now. This is a beta version of Dream Studios. There are other AI art generators which work in a similar way. So you can also do a comparison. In this, they've used a seed of which is auto generated. So this is one. I'll give you one example of doing a comparison between different art form by using playgroundai.com. I think it is logged in somewhere here. Okay, so what you can do is this one, you can either use stable diffusion or Delhi. Since we have already used stable diffusion, we will use with the same example, and let's see how the output looks like. So here is our text. And I'm not using any filter as of now. I'm just using Delhi E as my base model to generate the art. While this is coming up, we'll do a few more variations. Okay, so if you see this one, so that's the real difference between Delhi and stable diffusion. So this one looks very realistic in nature, and if I compare it with this example, this looks very artistic and futuristic. So that is the blend that you get from these all generators. In another example, I want to show you how you can create an image with an existing image. So what I'll be doing is I'll be taking an example of a photo which is there on my desktop, and I will use that to show you another feature of this. I'm taking an example of Globant Office as a reference. So if you see, I have a lot of variations from the same input that I gave. And for example, if I click on this one, so you see, this is the prompter that it looks like. So it will take a lot of time for us to get used to all these prompters and how they work. I will give you an example of a similar prompter and see how the image looks like on Dream Studio. See, so this one is very different from what we saw here, though the prompter is same. And I'm sure, like if I do it and see on with Delhi E, the output will look very different. So this is all that we can do by all these prompters, and it's very useful if you are creating games or comics from it. How you can get started with this. So Python 3.7 and above, clubbed with natural language toolkit, it can give you a platform wherein you can create your own generator. It uses PyTorch framework in the background for machine learning capabilities, like you have to do tokenization, stemming. So all these things wherein you basically decode the entire sentence and make it into words and then synthesize them in order to understand how the output should look like. You will also have a very heavy file which is called model.ckpt file. This is the reference point which has millions of images inside it that your model will be using and the algorithm will be working on. For this to execute in your local system, you would need a RAM of 32 or above. You'll also have to make few variations of in the VRAM. I will share all these things towards the end and give you an example of how you can get started. At the front, you would also need a web UI to operate all these variations, like I was showing, like CFG or scaling or all these other things. There are a lot of benefits. I think I've covered many in here. It is very essential for advertising agencies or people who are developing games. Going forward, being a technical person myself, it will be crucial for next 5 to 10 days to also have creative skills. So that we can position ourselves well in the market. It pushes your creativity to an extent that you can do multiple different things that you would not have thought previously of doing, because let's face it, we are not that creative after all, but we want the output to look at that way. It is actually raging in the market of comic artists wherein original books are being developed. So you see an example wherein Zarya of the Dawn, they use Midjourney to create an entire original series. It's also when you are proposing a new concept. So what happens is you want a pre-visualization of that, and you want to give a conceptual look of how the new generation, whether it is you're planning to create a new building or you're creating a new car, anything, you need a pre-visualization. So that is something you can use these art to do that. You can use VFX as well. So you don't have to actually put in a VFX effect. You can do it clubbing like multiple EB synth, for example, along with generator to club it and make a video out of it. Most importantly, it democratizes art, meaning now it is easier for even a non-creative person, or well, like when a person considers himself non-creative, they can also do that and create an art out of it. Another example of benefit is you can create NFT. I've not mentioned it in here, but I thought right now, like that is something like we all are doing, and creating an NFT and having a copyright of it, it's really important nowadays. Now, if I don't cover the ethical implications and drawback of this, it will not be a holistic presentation. AI art is actually facing a lot of backlash from the actual artists or the creative people who feel that this is not really a creative art. We are just pushing boundaries and enabling machine to bring in all these inputs. There was one example wherein the artist has submitted an AI generated image and they won the competition. So it's very difficult at this stage when nothing is legalized, you don't have any rules in place to accept which art is AI generated or which is like actually coming from a real artist. So Getty Image also is going on with this battle because a lot of people publish their image on that platform. On a personal level, it's also becoming a less a realistic process for us. If you're doing an art, it's an immersive process. You're giving your heart and soul to the process and exercise of it. So by that, now you can just do it in click of seconds. We are replacing that experience into mere seconds, right? So on a personal thing, I think that's one of the drawback that we should be looking at and really trying to find where that balance is. It runs with multiple algorithm and works on images. One time I saw an example where the image came out very distorted. So if I go back and show you on one of the examples, um, the image looks very unrealistic. So in that, if I go to Lessica Art and show you right here and do human images, it will give like output. However, it will be very distorted in nature because AI doesn't know how to place the eye features and all of that. It's still evolving. So you see all these images are coming out very distorted. So this is one of the drawback of AI art, and we are trying to improve by having multiple models in place. um, Also, there are a lot of designers, and it is going to impact the employment of people who are very closely related to the creative world, who are designing these things. So it is going to impact their employment as well. And we'll have to see like how this technology is accepted by everyone at some stage. With that, I will wrap up my session. I hope you enjoyed it. And one day, maybe you can create your own avatar for Metaverse. Thank you all for dropping in all your questions, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much.